right, welcome to the Lockdown Podcast. We are here to talk more Raw, more SmackDown, um, anything else in between that tickles our fancy. But obviously, we continue to have more Bloodline or Judgment Day. So that's honestly, sadly, the bulk of most of these recordings. But so now we have Raquel Rodriguez basically kind of paralleling herself with Judgment Day. I don't know if I really am into that. I really don't think Liv needs another goon to help her maintain her championship. I think her championship, again, we've said on numerous occasions, her championship without Judgment Day is garbage. She does not strike fear into anybody she wrestles against. It's just the only reason she has that champion is because she's in Judgment Day. Because if she didn't have it, Judgment Day would be nothing. And even once Rhea takes her championship back, or Tiffany Stratton cashes in, like, they're going to go back to the we run Monday Night Raw. Yeah, we don't have any championships to talk about. So, obviously they have the tag titles, but that's going to be debunked pretty soon here after this tag team tournament. I don't like Judgment Day with any gold. I think they're a faction that we could live without.
Agree.
So
I think we need Judgment Day. We need Finn Balor to do something.
We just need someone to...
Dominic will sink. Liv and Raquel, they're already mid card women fodder. Carlito, I mean, he should already be in a mid card feud.
He's the R-Truth of Judgment Day.
Yes.
That's
but he's not R-Truth.
Yes, no R-Truth. There's no replacing R-Truth.
Right.
But they're just a numbers game. Like, you look at the bloodline and you see dominance across the board, right? Especially when you have someone obviously like Jacob Fatu. You don't have that without Damian Priest and Judgment Day. You're just a bunch of mid-carders that have a numbers advantage, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, I'm hoping soon that we, get new tag team champions. I don't know who's going to come out on top. Obviously we had, the first round with, the War Raiders. So, glad to see them back.
Yep.
So, now, Eric is back and, definitely welcome back. Like, it's been a minute, so I'm looking forward. I really hope the War Raiders, more than anybody else, comes back and gets gold. I don't think Finn and JD can handle the War Raiders. You just look at the absolute monstrosity that is Ivar, the athleticism of Ivar, the ferocity of Eric. Like, I really, from a realistic standpoint, I do not see Finn and JD McDonough defeating them. But so we have what would I almost call another basically a squash match where, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill obviously retain their titles. And I think they're the only tag team that's sort of relevant at this juncture on Raw. I mean, now you have Lash Legends and Jakara Jackson that basically they defeated last week or the week prior. Obviously, they were ringside. I think, honestly, Lash Legend is on her way to main roster. I don't know about Jakara Jackson. I don't know if she'll be, she'll just be like a part-time wrestler while Lash Legend shows up. Because, honestly, Lash Legend, the girl can wrestle. The girl can literally lift she's got Bianca strength. So I really hope that this is the segue to Lash Legends to the main roster, because definitely this women's division needs someone else that can match the strength of Bianca Belair. So,
agree.
Oh, what are you about?
Mm.
Speak your
My
mind.
name is Frederick.
Yeah,
Mm.
I have not watched a lot of Lash Legend. We did see her do that really big power move against Otis a few months ago, and yeah, that was impressive. Um, just because you show up one week on the main roster and you have a match, you know, I want
I
to
mean,
see more
it's a
from her
segue.
before, I want to see more from her before I'm all like, yeah, I think this was a good call or not. Um, but also too, I mean, we had Beep Fab on the main roster, and that was a bust. So
Well, but the thing is that,
yeah, yeah.
and so I look at Lash Legends and I see, yes, she had, kind of her first couple matches on the main roster, kind of just almost visiting the main roster, but like I am very impressed with her. I'm impressed with her in NXT. I don't think like the whole metaphor thing is for her. I feel like she'd be better off by herself.
Mhm.
Or have Jakar Jackson be around. But I definitely think this is a snippet. Yeah, obviously, like you said, she's not gonna jump just because she came up a couple times, but I definitely think she's on the rise coming to the main roster. Maybe by end of year, maybe spring.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
but
I'm
so
sure that there's room for her to shine on the main roster depending on what they have booked for her. But I'm not 100% sold on her. Um, I do think Jade Cargill is improving. It is a slower process. Um, and we've all said it before, like Jade could definitely have used some extra time and some extra shine, but everyone's journey is a bit different, and they are protecting her, and I'm not upset with it. um I'll get upset and frustrated a year from now when there's like, all right, you've had enough quality time.
right.
I still don't see, like, I don't see the same polish as I see with other people. What's going on? What's lacking? And we don't know what her long-term contract is going to be. It might be 3 years. It might be 5. We don't know. I mean, they can cut her loose tomorrow for all we know. So again,
Yeah.
I
I mean,
yeah.
I just like when you get exposure on NXT, you put in the work and to earn your opportunity to be on the main
Mhm.
roster versus, and it's like, and I get it, Jade Cargill was a big draw and a big free agent, but like it's kind of, she didn't have much experience in AEW really. And
Yeah, her
so
yeah,
and
her
so I don't
matches
know how
were
you
definitely
hyped her up
one-sided.
so much, and then she came in and it's just like you basically thrust her to the main roster. Like, why couldn't you have done the same thing like you did to, your Sean Spears and other wrestlers, Ethan Page that that are in NXT, honing things, learning WWE, because that would have benefited her because like
Yeah.
we're getting undelivered main roster value, right?
But
Like,
whose fault is that? It's not her fault. She didn't
oh yeah, I
say,
mean they
yeah,
tossed her there, and that's fine.
yeah.
It's just like I feel like you've seen what she's doing, and obviously she's doing good with Bianca Belair because honestly, Bianca Belair is she's a veteran of it, and she's been
Mhm.
with WWE for quite some time, and so like being with her honestly is the best case scenario for her on the main roster, just because you
Yeah,
have someone who is
definitely.
polished.
Yep.
And so like it's good in that, like, that she's in the best case scenario being on the main roster in a tag
Mhm.
team with someone who's talented like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I think honestly, eventually, hopefully sooner rather than later, we kind of start, chiseling, the statue a little bit, and it'll just kind of fluently happen. It'll happen authentically, and it'll just will be saying, you know, a month, 2 months from now, I'm like, man, you know what? She's doing really good. You know, and so and I hope we get to that point. I don't want to be 5, 6 months from now before that happens. You know,
I think you're gonna have to wait a little bit with her. I really do. I temper your expectations and your timeline a bit. But that's also not to say like she hasn't improved. We just haven't
right?
seen it. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's like,
it's
yeah,
chiseling away.
yep, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I mean, bigger, you know, bigger chunks at some times, smaller chunks at other times, and
yep.
I think she'll get there. Like, I don't doubt that she's not going to get there.
But you're
You know,
saying right now,
He
in
will.
comparison, Lash Legend should have like Lash Legend would be all right in singles matches and performances as opposed to Jade Cargill, which I probably should not say I agree or disagree until I actually see like a
right?
couple of Lash Legends, because
Yeah,
like I think one match that I saw like very first when she first showed up in NXT, I was like, oh, get her stiff butt out of the ring. That was bad.
yeah,
But that's not to say that she has not grown. And you're
right.
absolutely right. But
Yeah, and time will tell. Time will
yeah.
tell. I mean, like you know, sometimes all of a sudden the light goes on, it clicks, and you're just good to
Mhm.
go. So I
Yep.
mean, we're just gonna be kind of patiently waiting,
Yeah,
you know,
we're
and
waiting
you
for
know,
that, but we definitely want to see the breadcrumbs of like, all right, she's improved. All right, her timing
right,
is getting better. That didn't look as stiff. She actually like,
right.
did some things. You know, I
I mean,
yeah.
and like the tag team move that she does with Bianca is very polished, you know, and I think it's you know that's kind of that I think it's kind of more like a half slice of bread, honestly. Like
Like that
that's more than
finisher.
just crumbs, right?
Yeah,
And so you
yeah.
know, and I think it's just like there's just you know obviously we're always going to be critics of certain aspects, but obviously
Mhm.
like you said, she has improved in plenty of aspects, right? I
Yeah,
mean, her ring presence is you know she's doing the same, but like it's you know it just kind of hits that next level when all of a sudden Bianca Belair's music hits right behind her because we get the Stormers coming first, and then obviously Bianca Belair comes out, and I think like the presence is definitely getting better, right? And
right.
I think you know it's the rest of it will fall in line, and you know and it's different from being you know in a smaller company versus the conglomerate that WWE is, you know, and
Right.
the amount
Yep.
of critics like
Definitely.
myself. And I mean,
Yeah.
we've you know, and the thing is, in the downside is that like okay, so people have watched it for so long, like you know, when you hype someone up, we have a certain degree of expectation, and you know, and that's just I guess kind of human nature, right? Like you kind of want when you hype someone up, you kind of want those results faster, and that's like
Mhm.
that's on me personally. Like I just kind of critique that, and that's you know what I've you know when I seen her
Yeah.
come in and all the high expectations and you know the crowd reaction and everything like all entails, you know, and so we'll get there. I
We
mean
Yeah.
will.
that's
Eventually,
it's
we will.
you know
Yeah, eventually. Yep.
so
Yep, I agree. Eventually it'll happen. We'll get there
Maybe,
and we'll
maybe a year from now, they'll probably be a hell of a great tag team.
right. And
yep.
I mean maybe they won't be tag teams. Maybe eventually she'll break off because like we've been talking about for
Oh yeah, yeah.
you know a
I
while. Like
definitely yeah.
maybe if, when they break up, that's when like WWE's like, okay, she's good to go,
Yeah.
right?
And
And
I
maybe that's WWE seeing her whole thing in its entirety
That
versus what we see on TV.
plus
yeah.
with WWE, when they split up somebody like a team like that, they're like, okay, this chick got something. She's doing great. Let's
Right.
see what
Mhm.
she can bring to the table as a solo and
Yeah.
maybe a
Yeah.
baby face or a heel, something.
Yeah.
Right.
She'll do
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think
it's
yeah. Yeah. I
and
think
well,
it's
and
a
the thing
waiting
is,
game.
yeah. I
She
mean, and
got she got she got Bianca there to help her out.
Oh
you know,
yeah, yeah.
and the dedication's there though. I mean, like, you know, when you know, especially the schedule of you know of talent on WWE, like we might because we only see Raw or SmackDown, right? Like they have
Yeah.
different house shows and stuff like that, and so like we don't see that maybe on these house shows she's really improving, right? Because
Right.
obviously we don't see those house shows, so we don't actually really see we don't see what everyone else is seeing. We don't see what WWE is seeing because obviously, you know, at the end of the day, WWE is the biggest wrestling promotion in the world.
Yeah,
And
they're
so, like,
juggernauts.
you know,
Mhm.
and so they see talent and they see her work, they see her putting in the grind, putting in the bumps, putting in the, and so I think, sooner rather than later, obviously we're gonna start really, really seeing it. Like, it might not be that, like, 100% like we all want, but I think definitely sooner rather than later we're gonna start seeing bigger chunks come off that statue. Like,
Oh yeah,
I really do.
definitely.
I do believe it. So now we'll roll to, so Cody Rhodes, Gunther. The whole confrontation continues. Um, Honestly, both of them play a great role of a heel and a face.
Mhm.
You have Cody, who's just kind of a gentleman, a good sportsman, I forgot the term, but like a good sportsman. Like, he's very professional, and obviously Gunther is too. It's just he has that chip, that Gunther has, and obviously rightfully so. I mean, you can't knock what Gunther's done in his main roster. I mean, 75-ish% of his roster is done with the title on his shoulder. So,
Oh yeah,
you know,
666 days.
yeah. And so I really honestly, like, outside of even this, like, the title and whatever else, like the whole crown jewel thing, like, just those two in the ring, honestly, just kind of makes my hair stand up on my arms, because you have the power of Gunther, but you have the tactical skills of Cody Rhodes. And I think by the end of that match, Cody's chest is going to look like when he tore his pec.
Oh,
Like,
definitely,
like,
definitely.
Oh yeah.
it's going to be
Yeah.
red. Okay. Like, his tattoo
Really
is going to
bad.
look like he's going to have a tattoo on his chest of Gunther's hand.
Well, that tattoo on his chest probably disappeared. It'll
Right.
be removed.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm definitely looking for the match. I'm not really so much for the whole title thing, because obviously we don't know what really entails to it. Obviously, and obviously we're waiting to figure out what that actually does entail, like, next year when it gets defended. So I mean, the title's kind of a
Yeah.
misnomer,
Yeah.
but I'm all for the match. Period. So Braun Breaker defeats Kofi. Not really too surprised on that. I think, yeah, Braun lost his title, but man, the dude is something else. He's the
Yeah.
genetic
And
freak, man. Let's call it like
yeah.
it is.
He doesn't. Yeah, I don't think it's important or is as necessary. I think having really good matches with good stories for Braun for right now, I think is good, and having him do some of his family's mannerisms in the ring, I think really like play into his character.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
they're
So
starting to kind of like let those things come out as they come out, and kind of mentioning, the family, background. And so, like I said, honestly, under Triple H, obviously we have a lot more leeway to what we can say and what they can say.
right.
And so, like, like the Steiner recliner move and stuff like that, they're really starting to kind of let that come, and like, hey, guess what? This is the dude, and guess what?
Yep.
He can do that because he can. That's
Yep.
family moves right there. And so,
Yep.
and it's cool to watch, because honestly, Braun Breaker isn't really that old,
No.
but I'm not sure exactly how old he is, but he's not terribly old. But like, to Google, somebody check that. But like, he's definitely, he put in the work at NXT. He won the, NXT title multiple times, dominated down there, and he's pretty dominant on the main roster. Yeah, I don't think anybody else can go 23, 25 miles off the ropes. Like, I don't
That
care.
dude's a freaking beast on the ropes.
Like, I mean, it's just insane. Like, they literally miles per hour him. Like, if you get hit with that, yeah, your wrestling's kind of whatever, but like, getting hit by a 25-mile-an-hour dart, that still has
Yeah.
to hurt. Like,
Yeah. I'm
ice
sure it
my
doesn't feel
ribs
good.
after this.
Yeah. He's 26 years old. He was born in 1997. So
Oh yeah, so
yeah.
he's like right in that sweet spot right now.
Yeah.
But so now let's go to the fun topic of R-Truth beating The Miz, right? And obviously, like we said beforehand, they need to pull the trigger on Final Testament something, right?
Yep.
Like whether it's a title shot for a tag team or Karrion Kross for a secondary title, they got to do something, because this is the best Karrion Kross has been since he's been in WWE in general, right?
Yeah.
Because he had the stuff at NXT where he was pretty dominant, and then like he came back and he was doing these stupid gimmicks. They released him and then brought him back along with AOP, and so like it's very interesting how it seems like the Final Testament is a great story, is a great group with a lot of different things going on, and I feel like they're underutilized because we have the Judgment Day. And I really feel like Judgment Day and Final Testament, there needs to be beef right there. I feel like that would be
That'd
a
be a
lot
good
better
good
story,
teams.
Yeah.
because you
Good
have
beef.
AOP, because AOP is, those dudes are no joke. You have Karrion Kross at the helm, and so you have a lot going on in that group that it definitely needs a feud. And not like these mini feuds like breaking up the New Day or these little trinkly things. Like, no, they need a legit storyline, and then see what they can do. And if they flop, they flop, and then you move on. But like they got to get an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't bring him back again and then underutilize him again, and then like because you have the Judgment Day stuff like overflowing the whole show, you're taking away from other things that are good that could be going on, right? Because essentially Raw is just basically half of the show is literally something to do with Judgment Day, whether it's a match or a backstage segment. Like, they got to let some of the other rosters shine. I just, it's really, because it's sad because you have people that work their butt off. Like, so a lot of these guys are working, doing dumb gimmicks. They're going through the ringer, and like,
Mhm.
and then they get released because, oh, we don't have any stories for you. Well, whose fault is that? Like, you don't have to have the Judgment Day do the same thing 12,000 times over every week. Let someone else do something, right? I mean, it's just we're on this plateau right now, like on both sides. Raw, SmackDown is we're literally riding a plateau right now because it's the same stuff over and over again. And it's like, oh, yep, obviously we know this is going to happen. Oh, yeah, this is going to happen. Like, we could honestly write the show right now for them. Actually, we could probably write it and do predictions on what's going to happen, because it's been that predictable for a while. So,
Yeah.
I mean, so like, what do you guys think as far as like, I mean, am I wrong kind of saying WWE is kind of kind of running a little flat line right now? I mean, am I far off?
I think we're at a place where we're waiting for the next PLE, and we're also waiting for Survivor Series. So we've got this whole like crown jewel type thing, and then we also have Survivor Series. So it's we need some things that kind of like keep us going week after week. And maybe it is time for a change of like who we can expect to see on TV. Like a lot of performers that don't get enough shine, that don't get enough TV time. Maybe we can see a little bit more of them, and a lot less of like the Judgment Days and the Bloodline stuff, and we can see little teasers that get us going for the next week. And maybe it's a back and forth type of booking or type of production where maybe we get a couple of weeks of mid Carters and and that sort of thing. And then we get a week or two of like the really big stories that they really have invested a long time in. So maybe it's something like that. Is Bloodline stuff getting interesting? For me, still not as much, but we'll talk about SmackDown soon. Is Judgment Day stuff getting interesting? It's always kind of been flat. I want to see some things with Damian Priest. I want to see some new opportunities with Finn Balor in singles runs, and yet, spearheading or leading a Judgment Day. I want to see some more Karrion Kross stuff. I want to see the New Day story come full circle or something or another. There are a lot of opportunities, even if it's 5 minutes of television, for multiple stories to get moved, for you to be like, oh, that was worth me spending 2 hours watching because I got 5 minutes of very interesting things to me that keeps me engaged with the product week after week. So I think, again, just as a reminder, this is probably part of the WWE cookbook. This is, they've got to let things rest. It's kind of boring. It's kind of flat. But then all of a sudden, bam, we get hit with something. And that gets us
Something
going.
that blows out of our seats.
Yep.
Well, and the thing is too is that like, when you have injuries that are unforeseen, like where like for damage control, for example, right? When all the wrestlers got hurt, what have they done? They fell flat on their face, right? And that was a big damage control was a big thing for a while. And then as soon as someone got hurt, literally the story dissipated. And so I don't want to see wrestlers like, get pushed to the echelon and then get hurt and then we don't have anything left. Because it's like you said with the Judgment Day, Finn Balor, I want him in singles. I don't want him in Judgment Day. I want Finn to do what Finn do.
Oh
Because
yeah.
Finn is a phenomenal wrestler. I want to see the Demon come back. I know he ain't bringing it back, but this is just wishful thinking. But I want that Finn Balor back. I don't want this stooge in a collective group full of goons. I want to see Finn Balor do what Finn Balor do. Because JD McDonough
we know he could bring. Finn Balor is probably the top best athlete in that group.
Yeah, because JD McDonough, nothing without Judgment Day. Carlito, nothing without Judgment Day. Even Liv Morgan, nothing without Judgment Day. Dominic Mysterio, nothing without Judgment Day. Finn Balor could leave and no one would bat an eye. If he said, screw you guys, I'm done, I'm out, I want to go do what I want to do, Judgment Day would implode. Because Finn Balor is the only big star left.
He's the only one that's actually keeping that team together and going.
Because like I said before, they don't have that it factor. They don't have, because when Damian Priest left, where were they left with? They have numbers, but they don't have dominance. And that's like, if you don't have someone that's basically your enforcer, bloodline nonsense, speak unintended, but like if you don't have someone that you can rely on to be the force, and it's not Raquel Rodriguez, okay? She's there because they brought her back and she came back, and what else do you have for her? There's no, there's nothing. The women's division on Raw is, we're all just sitting and waiting for Liv Morgan to lose her title and for Rhea to win it back and for Rhea start going roughshod through the roster. Liv Morgan's not going roughshod through the roster. And so she has the title and that's cool, but you have outside interference, which obviously the Judgment Day thing, and obviously it's definitely a well overused recipe, but like she's not dominant at all in any way, shape, or form. And I want the stars that we know are stars to shine, and the rest of them just fizzle out, release them, get rid of them. We're trying to move forward, and that's just my take as far as the Judgment Day, because Finn's the only star in that show. That's it. Dominic, joke. Jamie Dunn, a joke. Carlito is like back.
Dominic's always been a joke. He was a joke when he was with his dad.
Yeah, I mean, and his 70s porn star mustache is even worse. Like, but like, you know what I'm saying though? Is like we have stars that are in groups that the stars are bigger than the group. Finn Balor is bigger than the group. He don't need him. He didn't need him when he was the first Universal Champion. He didn't need him when he won Intercontinental Championships. He didn't need him.
NXT
You don't need him.
championships.
You know, and so I really just Judgment Day is just clickbait. Okay, like it without Damian and especially Mommy, Judgment Day ain't doing it for anybody. They're just an annoying group of annoying people. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Because Dominic is a goon. JD McDonough, he
was a lot better in NXT.
Well, I mean, he was.
Yeah,
I
there
know
was
he had the
definitely
whole
an
moniker,
edge
the
in-
Irish Ace.
Yeah,
And then he comes
definitely
here, and
an
then he-
edge in NXT.
Yeah, when he was in NXT, it was great. When he got moved to the main roster, he just pretty much sucked.
I mean, that's
I'm
the
like,
same-
what
that's
that?
the
Oh,
same-
I'm like, where's the NXT style of you? Come on.
That's the same thing with Johnny Gargano. I mean, he only really worked well in NXT. And honestly, like, I love Johnny wrestling. I love what he's about. And I love that him and his wife get to basically do wrestling together. I think that's amazing. It's just he's going nowhere as far as like a singles title. He works best in a group, you know, and Ciampa honestly is a dog. I love Ciampa. I love DIY. I love what they're about. I love the cohesion.
Ciampa, he could do really great by himself. That dude's a powerhouse. He's a beast in the ring.
Yeah, and Johnny Gargano in NXT was a star. On the main roster, he's a glorified jobber, unfortunately. And that's what happens. Because sometimes you exist greatly in NXT because NXT has a more inexperienced roster. So when you have the quote-unquote veterans of NXT, you stand out more. But when you get to the main roster, you're with the big dog. It's like college football versus NFL, right? You know, you can be great in college. When you get to NFL, it's the best of the best. So, like, you have to show more. You have to show up more. And unfortunately, there's been nothing for Johnny Gargano outside of DIY, unfortunately. And that's the reality. You know, and if he's good with that, I'm good with it. You know, you still show up to work. You love what you do. You have a fun time doing it. Hang out with, literally go to work with your wife. That's cool. That's fun. And if he loves it, then I love it for him. You know, because it's like being on the practice squad on an NFL team, right? You're still getting paid.
Yeah.
You're not the top tier, but guess what? You get paid. You get to do what you get to do what you love.
Shit, you get paid sitting on the bench too.
Yep. League minimum.
Right? You know, and so I think that's where a lot of WWE stars fall into. They're good enough to be there. They're just not popular enough to stand out. And it's unfortunate, but again, I would love to just do what I love to do and get paid handsomely to do it. So, but
same here.
You know, let's roll down. So Rhea Ripley tags with Tiffany Stratton against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez.
That was a strange tag team.
That was like, it was a weird. Somebody made a parallel comparison to like Wednesday Addams and like that girl at that school or whatever.
It's like Wednesday and freaking. Oh, let me rephrase it.
I don't know her
Barbie.
name, but yeah, I mean basically
it's like Barbie.
Yeah, it was an interesting combo.
Or it's the Gothic Barbie and the regular Barbie.
Right. But honestly though, like let's all give a sigh to Rhea Ripley's head.
Oh,
getting busted with a
I'm surprised.
That was hard to watch because that gives me a headache just thinking about it. Like that's one of those moments where like someone effed up, okay? Like I'm sure there's gonna be a TikTok on, well, how fucked up is fucked up.
Yep. Someone got yelled at too. I'm sure of it.
100%. Someone's getting reamed. Okay. Yeah. Triple H is a delightful guy when he's out on the stage and doing what he does. But I guarantee you, he has a little Vinnie Mac anger in him. I'm sure.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. Someone,
someone was
yeah,
getting
someone
yelled
got
at and
yelled at.
back.
Yeah,
Like, so, but I mean, ends in a no contest. Obviously, go figure. I mean, it's kind of the cliche nowadays, but it is what it is. Hopefully Rhea's not too banged up. Definitely probably had a nice headache. But so let's roll over to SmackDown, and show starts off. Solo comes out, does what Solo does. It's like he's like they're playing like a video, like an audio recording of him talking and back, and he's just moving his lips out there. But so obviously he was chatting for, I don't know, good 5-10 minutes, yada yada, and then much like every time a wrestler says another wrestler's name, say his name and he appears. So Jay comes out, basically lays into him, call him his little brother, which he is. So I don't even know why it's like Solo got so mad about it. Like,
because that's what little brothers do.
exactly.
Oh, so really quick, whose highlight in this segment? What did you like about this segment?
I just liked the rawness of what Jay was saying. And just basically legitimately just kind of speaking from the heart, like, about the division of the bloodline and all that stuff. And I just thought, it it was very well said.
Yeah.
So
there are two really big takeaways from this segment that I have. One, Jay's comments about staying away from certain members of the family, certain members of the bloodline, specifically the Tongans, and more specifically, staying away from Jacob. Now, Jacob Fatu, Jimmy's last name is actually Fatu, so it to me. I want to know more about that. Expand on that. Give me some background, because I know if Haku's kids are anything like Haku, the one time someone says something foul, they're going to look at each other and say, you know what, we don't need the bloodline. We are the Gorillas of Destiny, and we're stomping everybody, and they don't care. So I want to see that comment get flushed out and give us some visuals behind it. And I also want to see now Jey Uso versus Jacob Fatu.
100% agreed.
Yeah,
agreed.
Jacob's going to win, but I do want to see Jay actually try. I really want to.
Oh my gosh, dude!
Yeah.
Like everything Jacob does is just on a different level, and it's so fluid too. Like,
yeah,
there's no little, like, there's no hesitation.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't even know what he did to Roman. I couldn't even tell you what that move was. I couldn't even tell you how it happened.
I didn't see the move. I did see the Samoan spike.
It was weird. It was like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like a headlock and then sideways, and it did some all this twisting. And
it was so many different damn things. It was like a car wreck.
It was moving faster than NASCAR. I have no idea. But what he does is so fluid, and it's so clean how he does it. Like, there's no hesitation. It's like literally 3 steps and there's a move been done. Like, I honestly look forward to what they do with Jacob Fatu independently. Like I said, there's stars in groups that are bigger than the group itself, right? Because Solo came in basically, he came in kind of quick, honestly. Like, he came to NXT super quick, and then he showed up the main roster really quick, got thrust into the storyline quick, and I would say, honestly, his mic skills are okay. I think honestly for the amount of time he's had to really hone it, I think it's honestly very acceptable. It's like there's like bits and pieces where you're like, okay, do you sound like 12? Don't call me little brother, like, you know. But I think honestly, again, working with who we got to work with, I think he was able to polish things off a lot more. Being part of the bloodline, working with Roman, working with Jimmy and Jay, like, and really he didn't talk for the longest time. He just listened, right? And so, I think that played a factor too, is that like he wasn't just sitting there with the grumpy face. He was really listening and how they presented, what they said, how they said it. And I think that benefited him, for being, the self-proclaimed tribal chief, and by basically heading this Bloodline 2.0 faction. And so when you get to work with the greats, you pick up a lot of things, and you pick up a lot faster than most. And I think, like, I don't have a problem with Bloodline 2.0 in the sense of like the dominant factor, or the coming out and basically playing the numbers game just like the original Bloodline did. So they really can't be mad that they're basically carbon copied the other. And so it's just as a different bloodline. And then literally Roman said that Solo was the next tribal chief. He said that 6-8 months ago. So like,
Yeah,
we're seeing that foreshadowing now. So like, as much as we don't like the fact that he's beating up on Roman, Roman said he was the next in line, right? And now here we are. And now essentially Roman's getting his come-ups, and what we'd like to call receipts. And so it's been kind of a full circle moment to watch, where Solo started and to where Solo is now. So I mean, Bloodline, it's a great recipe, right? I mean, it's, even if you use different ingredients, as long as it comes out the same, and it really is the same. Like, we don't like it because it's not Roman, it's not the Usos, it's not so so the quiet Solo, the honorary Uso. We love that bloodline, but this is just basically the same thing, just less of the background guys talking and just the main guy talking, in Tama Tonga making noises, whatever he makes. So it's just it's a carbon copy, but it has just a little bit of a twist. So as much as we hate the Bloodline 2.0, it's not that far off from the original. It's just different cast members. So speaking of the tag team tournament, so we have DIY ends up beating the Street Profits and Pretty Deadly. And honestly, it was a crazy match, but honestly, it was very well written. And because if you didn't watch it, so basically Pretty Deadly, like, the one guy tagged the other guy in. They went to go do a top rope move. And other guy that was actually the one that got tagged in got hit off the other side of the ring. And then Street Profits did their finisher, but there was on the finisher on the guy that wasn't actually the tagged in person. So then when DIY did their meet in the middle and they rolled up the other guy that was actually the one that tagged in, they won because they pinned the right person. So that's the whole mess of it, and how it happened. And obviously, Street Profits walk out all salty. Well, that sucks. There's not much you can do. Literally, it was an ending that was very interesting, but like, it played out and it was called right. There was no like guessing. It was like, hey, you weren't the guy that tagged in. You were supposed to be out. You pinned the wrong guy, and that's some good drama, honestly. Like, just that little triple threat tag match, honestly, like, it had a lot of drama. Like, honestly, like, Pretty Deadly's kind of come back in after one of the guys got hurt or whatever, and so they're kind of coming back into the fold of tag team. DIY has obviously been, kind of pushed to the back of the line per se. Street Profits, when they had Bobby Lashley, it was a different thing, and now they're kind of back they're kind of getting put to the back of the line again. And it's going to be interesting to watch like
it's
what
hard to see.
becomes of the Street Profits now. So
yeah, it's
They're a great tag team.
yeah, they have a really great presence about them, and it's
Oh,
yeah,
I
gotta-
love
I
everything.
gotta
I
agree
love
with you.
everything
It's-
about them.
yeah.
they just need to go back to the Street Profits of old, have a little fun, but also do business.
Oh, definitely.
You know, and so they got thrust into kind of a different personality and a different character than they were of old when they were having fun, but they were winning championships. And so, like, I think without Bobby Lashley and this whole suit and tie crap and all that, like, pizzazz, just go back to being the Street Profits, man. Just spin that bowl, baby, like, and just, you know, all the shot glasses and red solo cups flying, like, bring that back, because that you guys were great. You know, you don't need the suit and tie and the pizzazz. Just go back to doing what the Street Profits do.
You know what? I can appreciate backstage segments with the suits and ties, or you're in your full gear. You know, I think they're you know, I think it was a good look for them, but it's not, like you're saying, it's not necessary. But I can appreciate it. Do I want to see them have fun? Yeah, but I would rather see them really tap into that underlining potential that every WWE superstar has at this level of the game. And when you see like teams that you know look good and can tell good stories with championships be underutilized, you kind of wonder, when is it someone else's turn to be underutilized, and when is my team that I enjoy watching, when do they get that push, when they you know, get to rep the company again? So I get it is a waiting game, but what would I rather see? Would I rather see the Street Profits hold tag team gold, or would I want to see them both get significant singles pushes with championship implications, and, you know, a championship run? I would want to see the championship runs. I would want to see the singles runs, and then I would want to see them come back together. You know, so like, that was fun. Let's go get some more gold.
Basically, New Day,
You know,
kind of, you know, let them go solo, but still come back and still come back to what they are.
And not have any beef or animosity, or not have it just be you know, have it be like, all right, I'm gonna go over here, do that, but you need me, bro, I got you. You know, and let it be like that. And let it be like, you know,
and it doesn't
that's
have
the way
to
it
be
should
like,
be.
and it doesn't have to be a nasty breakup. It could just be like, hey, you know, like, I'm gonna go do my thing, you go do your thing, and we're good, man. Like, I got no problem with you. I mean,
you know what?
And
I think that concept, that trope that we have in professional wrestling, it's such an overused vehicle to get someone over and throw the other person away. It just needs to go away, because if you look at other sports, they don't carry themselves like that. It's like, oh, that's still my boy. We came up. We don't play on the same team, but we still hang out. We still talk. We're still competitive. You know, yeah, we might, you know, have a little conflict here and there for the games, but shoot, after the game, we're all still going to go out, and we're all going to work out together.
We used to say, you see it in the NFL all the time. You see friends on opposite teams. They go up and talk to each other. Shoot shit.
I mean, it's and like, when you come up with people like those, especially like in the camaraderie of NXT, like, you know, like when they do the draft, man, everybody's there together, and when somebody gets drafted, they celebrate together, right? And like, and I think NXT is a great thing, you know, for wrestling, because like, when you're coming into a business that's as big as WWE is, like, I don't think they'll understand how big, longest weekly episodic show ever, and that ever will be, right? They did it through the pandemic. Like, and so, like, you develop a certain camaraderie with the people that you work with and that you're with all the time. That's why you see a lot of relationships come out of wrestling, because guess what? You're together all the time. You know? And so, like, when you're with this group of people and you're traveling the world, essentially, not even just the country, you're traveling the world. You know, those are family. And at the end of the day, like, like when we seen, in that little pic that they kind of released about, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre sitting by the end of the ring, right? Like, people have to understand is that, like, not what you see on TV is 90% of the time not what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
You half the time you see when you go to these live events and you sit out in the back of the arena and try to get that autograph or picture with them, you see like heels and good guys riding in the same car together.
right.
yeah,
I
we
see it
did.
all
I
the
mean,
time.
And
Yeah.
you have to take it for what it is, okay? It is a production, it is a entertainment, and so that's just what it is. And when you realize that they're real people at the end of the day, like, yes, some of them play the heel game in and out of the ring. Like,
Mhm.
some of them just do it and it works for them, but that's like, it's just WWE, man. Like, in all of
Yeah.
us fans, guess what? All of us fans will cheer, will scream, will hate. And honestly, WWE, I feel like, is the most universal community of people from different ages, races, countries, creeds, backgrounds, everything. Because we're all there for the same reason, to be entertained by these extremely talented athletes, right? And
Yep.
so I love that for WWE, because honestly, like, back when they had, the first female match, whatever, in Saudi or whatever, right? And then that actually encouraged Saudi to be more lenient on females because of what WWE brought them, and they started like, kind of letting more line on the leash as far as, like, things in that country. That's amazing, right? And that's what WWE is bringing to the world in its entirety. Like, don't be afraid of change, because at the end of the day, we're all along here for the ride, all of us together, and that's what it is. Like, if we learn to be more, like, just loving and kind to anybody, this world will be a better place. Like,
Agree.
we don't need that hate. We don't have that much time on this world. So if, like, what hate does nothing for anybody. So be kind, be respectful, and just be good people. Like, I mean, I don't mean to get all emotional, but I mean, I just think we'd be a
Yeah.
better world if people were just more kind and nice.
Yep.
Well, that's the thing is, like,
Alright.
and that's what WWE brings. Like, if you really, like, WWE brings the most camaraderie of everybody than anything else in this world. Like, music is a whole monster, movies are different monsters, but, like, WWE brings people together, right? Like,
Yeah.
like when we went to Texas, Tim, for freaking WrestleMania, dude. Did anybody care about anybody's background, race, age, anything, where you were from? No, we were
No,
all
hell no.
there. So, like,
Yeah.
we were all, like, we would haggle together, we'd scream together, like, we
Talk
were on a
shit
united
together.
front of loving and hating. And guess what? No one got hurt. No one was fighting. We were just passionate about wrestling, and that's all it comes down to. So,
You can't be mad about it.
but so back to the task at hand. No mean to get all emotional, but like, so back to my girl Lash Legend. So it defeats Piper Niven. And again, I feel like this is a good tryout.
Yeah.
And you get a reaction. I mean, not like, now that we're going to get more NXT shows outside of the Performance Center, they're going to be a little more infrequent, but we'll have them. And you still see a lot of fans at these things. These things are still packed. And people are still saying, whoop that trick, or they're booing, or they're cheering. Like, NXT is alive and well. If they went on the road just like every other show, you would view them in the same light. There's still drama, there's still storylines, and so they're just kind of in the learning-ish stage of it all.
Yeah.
But, like, we went to NXT TakeOver when we were in Dallas, and just electric. And so, you know, when you're starting to see, when you see the NXT, when you've seen them in St. Louis, when you've seen them in Chicago, those stadiums were still packed. So like, I feel like a lot of NXT fans are just waiting for them to just flat out have a live schedule, get out of the performance center. Obviously, it's more to do, but I mean, it ain't something they ain't done before.
No, I don't think it's something that is out of the realm of possibility. However, I think for production cost and all the logistics around having an on the road show, I would say it's probably better to schedule that and do that to like in the summer times. Maybe, it's 4 or 5 weeks or 6 weeks of NXT on the road, and maybe they do it as something along the same lines as, hey, whatever city Raw's in that Monday, NXT will be in the same city that Tuesday.
Well, yeah,
maybe at the
they can
same
literally
venue.
piggyback off
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
They really
So,
wouldn't have to
yeah.
really increase any production value, honestly.
Yeah.
But obviously, not a lot of places are going to want to do back to back. But I mean, but there's also that realm of possibility of going to a smaller venue, right? Like maybe if Raw comes to Grand Rapids, NXT goes to Detroit. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like you can still keep it in the same state because people will travel. I'd go to NXT in Detroit. Heck yeah. Because it's like if it's drivable, people are going to go to it. And I think maybe piggybacking off, the same state, then that way, like your touring schedule is still semi-cohesive to, the rest of it. But I mean, obviously, this is something that they're going to have to obviously diagnose because obviously it's been easy to do in the Performance Center, but like they've been doing it there for a decade. So like, I think it'd be cool. But like I said, maybe even if it was something like twice a month or something, or maybe once a month they were on the road or something. PC at 3 weeks, on the road at 1. Just to give more fans more eyes on NXT, because not everybody watches NXT. Like I've been watching NXT since before it was even broadcasted. Like
Honestly, I watch it here and there.
I just love to know who comes up. Like I love knowing the background of who's coming to the main roster, right? Because a lot of people don't watch all the brands, and that's fine. I want to know when someone I've watched and I enjoy watching gets their roster. I want to celebrate with them because I've watched them work, And so it's like, it's a 2-hour show, obviously split into probably like an hour 15, hour and a half, actual like watch time. But it's just cool to see where they've come, even back to like, the OG, NXT days, like your Kevin Owens, your Sami Zayn, your Shinsuke. They all came through it. Roman came through it, and so like it's been exciting to watch the journey of a lot of these guys that they're new to you on the main roster, but they're not new to me.
Right.
I've watched them put in the work. Even Austin Theory. He had kind of weird spots what he did in NXT, and then he got to the main roster, kind of did the same gimmick, but once he broke out of that gimmick and kind of went more heel, he became a more interesting character for the main roster. And so, Austin Theory is definitely one of those guys. Braun Breaker, Grayson Waller, who he's very Miz-esque, and so like there's just it's very deep of what you see now. I've probably watched on NXT, and so it's crazy to see where it was to where it is, on just the absolute depth we have on the main roster. Like you said, we could literally have the Judgment Day twice a month, and it would be enough, and we could have, because we haven't seen the Wyatt Six in at least a month. There's been like little hints of different things.
Right.
But
see, that's such an interesting take, and it goes to say, with the success of the White Six is that you don't need to have them have a performer on television every week for them to still be relevant
Right.
and to
It's the
still carry
attraction.
importance. Yeah. So there you can have different stories and multiple stories run concurrently and not have your favorite performer be on the show performing
Right.
and still have it keep you engaged and not just the anticipation of
Right.
seeing said favorite performer or favorite performers. So I think we need a shift in that expectation and that presentation. Like we don't need to see the White Six on TV. Show us
Right.
a vignette, show us some,
Yeah,
something that
they've been
they
having
may have
video
done.
clips.
Yeah. So there's so many different ways
It's
to
well, and
get
it's
around it.
in the Wyatt Six. Like in my mind, was never going to be a weekly occurrence.
No.
I think they are more of an attraction. You know, I'm hoping they come to Grand Rapids. I hope they show up.
That'd be
About
awesome.
like but like it's okay. I mean, they're more of an attraction, and I feel like we're just waiting to get the next group of people to piss off the Wyatt Six, right? I think we've gotten through the whole BS with American Made. Now it's a matter of who's next for them and who does something so callous that it makes them come back, right? Because maybe they're just kind of they're just like the unholy Avengers, right? Like maybe they're just there to when someone does something so callous that they are thrust into it and they need to right the wrong. And maybe
Yeah.
that's all Wyatt Six really is. Maybe that's the representation of Wyatt Six, is that they are there to basically be the corrector. And maybe that's all they really are. I mean, obviously, like when they came back, and there's still plenty of moments of Bray Wyatt. What do you call it? But just homages, right? And
Yeah.
so like we in if because obviously when they came out, obviously they're there every 2 weeks. Now we haven't seen them in a month. We've had a couple little video vignettes. They probably don't even mean anything, but they're just to keep you. They're just to keep you mindful that they are lurking. And I
Mhm.
feel like they're just waiting for the next group of people to do something stupid, to be like, you know what, we need to right this wrong. And maybe that's what they are. So here we go again. So Cody Rhodes invites Gunther to SmackDown next week. I feel like we're going to be getting these face-to-face things for the foreseeable till Crown Jewel.
Most likely.
I'm not that intrigued. I feel like if the first meeting is any indication of what the next ones will be, it's just going to be like a whole trash talk. Gunther's going to talk about, like he said, oh, I respect you and I this, that, and other thing, and respect your family, and then he drops the pipe bomb and says, but, and I feel like that's the foreseeable impression we're going to get of the next time they ever go face to face. I mean, it's good filler. It really is. It's because their match really is about. It's almost like a Survivor Series match for a title. I mean, it's kind of like champion supremacy,
Mhm.
as far as that title. It's not going to hold any weight, beyond Crown Jewel, or maybe they'll defend it at a different Saudi show. Maybe, who knows? But it's a championship that's more about like, hey, I'm better than you. Like I'm the best.
Right.
And honestly, like the match could go any way. And either one person that wins, I'm with. Like I really do. Like
They're both good
Cody,
talents.
Yeah.
Cody's great. Gunther's just on a different level. I mean, I lean like 60 towards Gunther, 40 for Cody, but whatever I get, I'm good with. It's one of those matches that obviously it doesn't have like their direct titles implemented. It's just kind of about this extra whatever that's more or less for the Saudi, honestly, shows.
Yeah.
They pay us a lot of money. Let's give them something to work with here. And, it's more for Saudi than it is for us. And I think that's kind of the proper way to look at it. It's like, okay, well, this year, this person beat this person, and maybe it will be a etched title. Maybe it'll be a metal plate in the back, and they'll say who won this year. Maybe that's what it'll be. I don't know, but it's not gonna make or break either champion. It really won't. Like, it's just good for Saudi. So
Right. Bragging rights going forward. Yep. So, yep. So, this Kevin Owens thing, is this all to just write him off of TV for the Saudi show? Or are we actually going to be building up to like a really solid Kevin Owens heel run
it's
feud type
weird
thing?
because Randy wants a match with him, and Nick Aldis won't give it to him. He can't give it to him apparently. So it's really weird because now it puts us in like Kevin Owens purgatory of what's next for him. Like, does that lean him more one way or the other? Because now you essentially kind of have this, and Randy Orton of all people is the equilibrium, and that's a rarity, And so you have Cody, who obviously is a strong face. You have Kevin that was a face, but now he seems to be
Leaning towards
exuding
being
like
a heel.
heelish behaviors. You have Randy Orton in the middle of this hate-love triangle, and like he's the voice of reason, and he's like, "Hey, Kevin, you're acting like an ass."
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And it's a good story because we've honestly we've had these little hints, right, where you see Kevin kind of like look a certain way, hold a chair a certain way, and you have these little droplets of maybe this is the time Kevin Owens turns heel, and that's what it is for a while. I don't know. We don't know because
I could see Randy Orton and Kevin Owens at Crown Jewel. At the Crown. Maybe.
They basically said, Nick Aldis basically said he can't make it happen. I don't know when it will happen.
Probably Survivor Series.
And who knows? I mean, maybe Kevin has an injury and we're getting these little mini vignettes just to keep us intrigued, and maybe he's fine and they're all fine and they're all gonna go in the forest, play the guitar, and sing Kumbaya. I don't know. But
they're not Elias.
Yeah.
Hey, don't mess with Elias. I love Elias.
He's all over TikTok.
I mean, he can sing. It's not like he's terrible. But so let's get to the bread and butter of. So Motor City Machine Guns have been signed, and so they defeat A-Town Down Under and Los Garza. I don't know why they just start creating new names for Legado, but so they come in, win their first match, really just getting signed practically to the day of.
I'm happy I'm happy they're in WWE. One of my favorite tag teams.
So you have Alex Shelby and Chris Sabin. So, so obviously on TNA for an extreme amount of time, most of their time, now finally getting to, WWE. Obviously they're going to have an impact on the tag division just because, it's crazy how every tag team you have, there's just a certain degree of like, these guys have some like holy moments, like holy, just, you're blown away, right?
Right.
And I definitely think we're going to get that. We have gotten that, and so I'm definitely looking forward to what they do. I don't know, if they're going to win titles right away. I wouldn't be against it. Just because I feel like that great of a signing to, to WWE, you better not screw this one up.
Oh, definitely. They better not screw it up.
So, you know,
Yeah.
and this is one of those big pulls, especially how synonymous they are, how big of a name they are. To have them in WWE now, let's not screw it up. Like that's all I can really say is let's not screw this one up.
They're definitely
know-
going to give these tag teams the money's worth and show what they can bring into that ring and what
Oh,
they
yeah.
can do
I
as
mean,
a tag team. And they are perfect.
And it's
And I'm
aerial.
happy.
Like these guys that can literally just do, you don't even have a word for it, right? Like just
Yeah.
the amount of, athleticism that some of these guys have is just, it's mind blowing. It really is. Like,
And they're fast in the ring.
I mean, think of when I think it's with the LWO, the 2-1 guys, they like fling,
Oh yeah.
Dragon Lee or whatever, one other guys, and they literally springboard him off of the rope, like, and then he flies like 15 feet. Like, that's freakish athleticism that, like, I feel like luchas have more than most, because lucha wrestling is a whole different monster of athleticism that most tag teams, most wrestlers don't have. I mean, if you ever sat and just go on freaking YouTube and search Lucha Underground, like you watch some of the stuff and it is insane.
Oh, I watched some of their matches. It's insane. It's an
And
insane
it's
wrestling
flawless.
company.
It's flawless. Like it is done with such precision that you just are left with your jaw dropped but then now when you start bringing, like Motor City Machine Gun, you start bringing that in and you're gonna get this freakish athleticism. There's gonna be even more eyes than there was already on WWE. Now and we also have this like TNA mesh right now with NXT. So this is not going to be something that's a one-off. This is gonna start happening more. And so we're gonna start getting this mesh with TNA stars in WWE, main roster, NXT. We're going to start getting a lot of crossovers, whether it was with Jordan Grace, or the plethora of others that have come, on NXT. And so it's been cool to watch that we're kind of now TNA stars are really getting some star power time. And I think that's cool that WWE has essentially kind of gone alongside them and almost kind of like bend their shoulder to like, hey, I'm gonna lift you up. Because now the amount of millions of people that WWE has, now they can see you. And they might not know you, but they're about to know you.
Right.
So
Damn
I think
right.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
So weird collaboration, much like Rhea and Tiffany Stratton. We have Nia Jax tagging up with Candice LeRae to defeat Bayley and Naomi. What a conundrum.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, it was just a weird match start to finish. Candice ends up winning, and it's just one of those weird moments you're just kind of like, huh, that just happened. Because Candice LeRae has been kind of a jobber for a long time, and it's like, let's throw her into the Lion's Den and see what happens with Nia Jax, Bayley, and Naomi, who are Class A veterans of, being main roster. Even when Naomi left and came back.
I wouldn't shortchange Candice LeRae. I mean, she has an exceptional history on the independent scenes, and in NXT, she's no slouch. She plays the role provided with her very well. Also, she is a Triple H girl or Triple H woman. So he's pretty big on several of the NXT stars that have come up, including several women, Rhea Ripley naming like one of the bigger ones, in addition to her and in addition to Bianca Belair and Asuka. So, yeah, and, Candice LeRae has definitely played her role. And she comes off as being, like her husband, Johnny Gargano, you know, kind of just like, you know, you kind of don't fit the singles guy. You know, let's put you in a tag team. Let's like rebuild DIY and let's do that and keep you, you know, keep you on TV and stuff like that. So for her to get this win over Bailey specifically, and you know, teaming up with Nia Jax, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens, like you were saying. But I don't think she's a slouch by any means, or she isn't worthy of that win. It was just a surprise.
She just needed an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of the roster is that, you know, when they get their opportunity, you best not mess it up.
Yep.
You know, because we can put you back on the jobber status. We can put you back on main event. You know, like, and so although, you know, whatever, it's scripted, whatever else, but like at the end of the day, like how you perform is a reflection on the business. And if you put in the work and you perform well, you will get your just deserves. You will get the respect, you know, and in some of them just fall off, and that's just what it is. You know, we don't have room for everyone, you know, on the main event scene. That's just what it is, you know, but you know what? Take your opportunities, you know. I mean, even like Austin Theory being the United States champion, I mean, like, he came to the main roster and obviously won the United States champion, you know, the youngest United States champion of all time. You know, that's called putting in the work and getting the benefit of your hard work.
Right.
You know, because yes, things are scripted, but like the fact that you were like, they saw enough potential in you to give you a title, that says volumes from the back, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so people get the titles and they put in the work. If you don't put in the work, we're not gonna make you. You're not gonna have the benefits that everybody else has. You know, think of how many gimmicks John Cena did, right? He put in the work. You know, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, The Miz, you know, Randy Orton, like all these guys that they are the standard bearers of WWE in the sense of your hard work will pay off, but you have to put it in week in and week out, match after match, to like be able to become, you know, in that upper echelon of talent and the ones that get TV time and get titles. So
yeah, I think, you know, that could lead us into a whole another rabbit hole. But yeah, you know, within reason, you know, there, you know, if you play your part, to some degree, that there's the premise that you will be rewarded. And I think specifically for Candice LeRae, she played her part. She did what was asked of her. There probably were some concessions with her. She is a first-time mom. You know, some of her on-screen things could have been related to that. You know, being kind to her, you know, her personal life and her time and her family. You know, but now that, you know, there's so many different explanations of why she wasn't pushed in the same regards as others. But and I'm just trying to show a little bit of grace and understanding about it. So it's a good lessons to, you know, to learn. It's like, you know, sometimes your favorites may not get those championships or those opportunities, but I would like to think that in general the company appreciates the efforts that you show and will reward you, not just based upon your looks and how much marketability that you have.
right, yeah. So let's roll to the topic of topics. And so throughout the night, you had these, you know, obviously you had Solo come on at the beginning of the show, basically kind of saying what he expects to Roman if he wants this to end. You know, Jimmy basically said otherwise. They had a brief segment with Jay, and Jay's kind of like, you know, I'm not about it. But so at the end of the show, we basically get Roman comes out, you know, says, hey, I acknowledge you, but he's not saying I acknowledge you as my tribal chief. He's just saying I acknowledge you. And obviously that leads to the beatdown of Roman Reigns for the second, third time. And, obviously, Jimmy comes out, they basically dragged him out, and so I feel like we're getting this push to the ending that we want, right? Because I think, Jay's gonna only have enough gumption to put up with so much before he says, okay, this is enough. Like, I left the family to do my own thing, but at the end, like he said to Solo, at the end of the day, like, family's family, right? And
Yep.
I don't hate you. We're just doing our own thing. But I think the fact that, Jimmy and Jay specifically, are under the understanding of, what it is right now. We're not the ones anymore. We're not holding gold. We're not running the show. We're secondary characters in this right now, and so it's got to come to a breaking point where obviously we all know Jay's going to join. Like, I mean, let's be real. Like, as much as, this whole story is gone, at the end of the day, the OG bloodline, ex Solo Sokoa, maybe another bloodline member will complete the 4-on-4. I don't know. But, like, we're going to get there. it might take a while, but we're going to get there, and so we still have, what, a month?
Pretty much.
And so, like, we still have plenty of time to get snippets of, what's going to happen at War Games. Because it's going to happen. Like, it's been foreshadowed for months that it's Bloodline versus Bloodline War Games. We all know it's going to happen. Problem is, we don't know all the players. And I think we're gonna slowly get bits and pieces of who those will be. Now the only thing that it's a mystery is the fact that, okay, so we get Roman, Jimmy, and Jay, right? I don't know I don't know if Sammy would show up. I don't think he really has much to be involved in this story right now. He's kind of doing his own thing, going after Gunther, yada yada, and so he's kind of doing his own thing. So like, who would be the fourth bloodline to like show up to basically complete Roman and the Usos?
I would laugh my ass off if it's the Usos' dad.
Rikishi? No, I don't think Rikishi's. I don't think Rikishi would get back in the ring though.
No, he good.
No, yeah, we definitely don't agree. But
like, I mean, you still have Zilla, and you still have other people that have been signed. They just haven't been thrust into a story yet. So
yeah, I don't know if Zilla's been signed. But that doesn't mean
I don't know
that
if he is yet.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that I don't know if I.
But he has been making a lot of noise on the indies, like throwing up the ones.
I mean,
who knows?
Yeah, man. I don't know.
It is WWE. It is WWE. They might keep it as a hush hush and not say he's actually signed.
Yeah,
keep it hidden because WWE likes to do that to us.
Yeah. Well, we already know Hikuleo signed.
Yeah, he signed on the NXT roster.
Yeah, but you know what? I think it's going to be the usual suspects. I think the really big thing will be Paul Heyman.
Hikuleo to be rumored to be signed with WWE. He wrestled his last match in New Japan 6 weeks ago. So
yeah,
I mean
he's already probably already been at the Performance Center. What I do think. It's kind of hard to really put it together,
put your finger on it.
Yeah, who you would want to see, who makes logical sense. I think if I were going to have a War Games, I would not want to I would be very cautious about putting someone freshen the company like 2 or 3 weeks into like a War Games match and
I mean-
expect them to like perform at, an acceptable level. I'm like,
yeah, I mean, but that's the thing is, but who else though? Like, I mean, do you think, and I think honestly at the very bottom of the list of I think would be like Cody, like, maybe it's Cody's like, you know what, me and Roman don't see eye to eye, but I respect Roman, and you have this, much like when they tag together, there's a certain degree of professionalism and respect amongst them that maybe Cody's the fourth, because I don't think we're not going to have the top tier championships defended at War Games. They'll be
No.
secondaries at best. So what do you do with the champions?
I could see Cody because Cody had Roman helped him out, and I could see Cody helping him out.
I don't see that being for Cody. Crazy as it sounds, I think it's Sami Zayn. I really think it's Sami Zayn.
Yeah,
we just haven't heard anything in regards to Sami Zayn though. Like
we've
already had Cody and Roman tag up. We really haven't heard even any inklings of anything regarding Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is going after
Gunther.
the title and everything else.
But he just had that match with Gunther. I don't think they're going to run it back with Gunther anytime soon.
No.
I think Sami Zayn's on a different plateau right now. I think he's got a lot going on.
But you know what? I think with the
knows?
history between Jay and Sami, it brings it full circle.
Well, yeah, and that's why Cody's at the bottom of my list. It wasn't like he was in the top 5. I mean, probably he's in the top 5, but like, yeah, I would say Cody 5, Hikuleo 4. Man.
Now you got to add 3 more.
I'm still sticking to Sami.
I would lead Sami at number 1. Now, who would be 2 and 3? Like who would be the most likely?
Obviously, the most likely.
It's a tough one. It really is. I mean, let's just say maybe for whatever reason Zilla gets signed. Obviously, this is pure guessing game, but I would say, him at number 3.
This is just my opinion. They could say you have Roman, both Usos, and then their 4th person they won't announce to the night of.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would make sense.
It make the roof pop off.
Well, it was the same thing when Randy returned. I mean, that's what they did. I mean,
yeah.
If that's already a recipe in the book, I mean, I can't imagine them not doing it again. I mean,
it'll be good.
I think
so. Maybe we'll go. Maybe just the Usos and Roman, and then the 4th is just that. Like, okay, so let's say the Bloodline wins the advantage match, and the Bloodline 2.0 wins the advantage match, and so so now we have 4 Bloodline, 3 OG Bloodline, and then all of a sudden the bell hits, and then all of a sudden we're like sitting here, and then like 15 to 20 seconds, someone's music hits, and that's what we get. And maybe that's number 2, the unknown, right?
You know what? I really think
I'm gonna stick to that being unknown.
Yeah. It's. I think if we were to guess and be on the safe side, we're gonna say it's Sami, Cody, and a very low Hikuleo.
And we know Paul Heyman might be back.
Yep, and but it's gotta make sense. It's gotta make sense for Paul to come back, and it's probably gonna be like.
But when it happens, it will make sense.
Yeah,
definitely.
That is the absolute greatness of WWE is that we don't know what we're gonna get. We're gonna guess what we want, but but who we get will
See-
make the most sense, right?
If we do get Umaga's son, the only way we'll know if it's him coming out if you get Umaga's old
Right. Yeah, his old manager.
manager. And
Yeah.
if he comes out, we know it's
Yeah.
Umaga's son.
Yeah. So, but you know what? We'll play the wait and see game. We'll put a pin in this for the day.
But
You
I'm
know,
hoping it's
and,
Umaga's son.
You know, I mean, but that's the looming mystery of WWE is that they have things planned out for the next 3 to 6 months, maybe even a year, and we're just gonna let things play out. We'll see what happens. You know, maybe we'll get more snippets, you know, this week, whether it's Raw or SmackDown, honestly. You know, and we'll play the wait and see game. So, you know, we'll leave it at that. We'll wait and see. And that is what we do, and that's what every WWE wrestling fan does. Is what you want and what you get sometimes don't match up. So,
Yepper.
hope you guys have a good day. This is the Lockdown Podcast. Peace.